Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you. And we have a few minutes now for questions.
This is regarding the theological cooking together. The cooking together. It means that we have to cook together. Theologically, since so far we have cooked in the middle, and then we come up with the final nutritious food, but still the other is not eating. Means that we go back and.
Is the image that they see our kitchen or that we cook together?
Thank you very much, Professor Madigan. I'm Claudia Betti of the ACU. I'm the director of the ACU campus here in Rome. I think it is quite heartening listening to you. I have a couple of things to say. First of all, first of all, pick up optometry. I'm almost 100% sure of that last one. No, almost not anything. Probably. Now, you were saying something very important, that the dialogue in theological dialogue is not for experts, and it should not be, because as you clearly say, there should be a way of easing the fears. Second, it is true that daily life, it is true very clearly that this dialogue exists in daily life, in Islamic countries especially, but also here in our daily life. And I like very much the problem of the kitchen. It's not only because I'm quite substantial in the kitchen. So. but my question is, how do we move from the parlor to the kitchen? Because it is extremely important what you say. We do have to be in the kitchen. But not everyone is able to be in the kitchen, even among us. And surely not everyone is able to be in the kitchen, although we think we are very good cooks. But not everyone is good to be in the kitchen, even in the Islamic side. So thank you very much.
And one more question, Luanda Cornelio, just a second, and then.
Thank you, dear Professor. Please, my question is not too intellectual, I transfuse imagination. So forgive me, I like the word kun. It's powerful. So when we come to the dialogue, we talk about God, who is beyond history and is so far. And our human history also is so greater than the two texts. And these two texts is just fighting us. Why can't we give this text a bit? We don't ignore it, leave it a bit, and then we dialogue. Who is your God? Who is my God? Can we succeed also?
Thank you.
Two kitchen questions. Just a clarification for that thing. I wasn't saying that it was not for experts. I think experts need to blaze a trail here. Partly because the preparation for people to get into this kind of amateur dialogue is done through catechesis and through our religious education, and so it includes seminary education and preaching and so on. So I don't want to, who would I be to discount the role of expert, because it is an expert myself. But I think that the task for experts is to make this, not to reserve it to ourselves as though this is something so special that nobody else can do it. Which brings us to the question of whether it's about cooking together or not. I don't think I want to say that we are cooking a kind of combined pie, as it were. If I take the example, say, of Trinitarian theology, we had a seminar about 3 years ago now. I chair a seminar each year called the Building Bridges Seminar for 4 days we get experts, we get Muslim and Christian experts, and we study texts together over 4 days in small groups. And I wanted for many years to tackle the question of monotheism and Trinity. And so, the experience we had there was wonderful because we kind of opened up the kitchen to the Muslim observers so that they could see what were the questions that Christians had asked, what were the things going on in the scripture which had posed issues which then needed to be explained and explored. They had seen that attempts at doing a Trinitarian theology were all at the service of monotheism. That Trinitarianism is not the watering down of monotheism. It's a way of trying to say, well, we have this experience of God created, transcendent, beyond us. We have the experience, we don't know how it can be, of God with us in this man Jesus, acting out what it is to be divine in a life like ours. And we have the experience of the power of God as spirit within a community of believers. Are we going to say these are three separate gods, one real God, two half gods, or one God, one half God, and some kind of mystical plasma which they send up? All our attempts at doing Trinitarian theology are finding ways to hold together those experiences and to do it within an affirmation of the unity of God. So allowing the Muslim participants to read carefully the attempts by Christians to do this and to see us doing it in grappling with the texts ourselves in groups. It didn't end up in an agreement where we said, okay, let's settle for two gods or two persons in God. No, it was not that we were cooking a new faith together, but they were also able to see, and Christians were able to see, that the affirmation of monotheism in the Islamic tradition is not as simple as it often seems. Over in the corner of the library there you'll find all the arguments that we had about is the speech of God God or not God? Is the speech of God eternal or not eternal? If the speech of God is eternal, then maybe if there are two eternal things, well, only God is eternal. Does that mean there are two gods? They've been in their own kitchen and to show each other the processes. I think that there is a certain amount of cooking eventually that goes on together, because what happens then is that people who are experts will say, and this is where I think it's so important for the students here at PISAI to explore the Islamic tradition and to not just to remember for the exams, but to really get into that theological cooking that Muslims have been doing, so that you will then understand precisely how the complexity of monotheism, and you'll be able to relate that to the complexity that Christians have had in doing the same thing. But so something new eventually is from it, perhaps a new cuisine, but it's not a negotiated new religion, I think. Put it that way. Leaving the texts aside, I think that's very true. I think that's why I was talking about, we start with the furu. Our texts are furu. They are branches, they are not the root. The root is the God who speaks to create, the God who is holding us in being, has brought us into being, holds us in being with that eternal kun. And so there is a lot to be said from about speaking to one another from our experience of being created and being called constantly to be more, to be fuller, and to share with one another how we experience that call to be. What is the ideal we have in mind? What is the model to which we are being, to which that kun is? Because I think we can think of God's be, God's kun as somehow coming at us from behind, if you like, sort of pushing us forward. God says, kun, right, on your way. But I think we can also perceive it as coming to us from the future. God is calling us into being, not pushing us from behind, but calling us constantly, drawing us towards something. So to be able to be explicit with one another to what it is we sense we are being called to, and also to hear that word. It's in a singular, of course, but that doesn't mean, I don't think God has a gazillion different kuns. God is one. The speech of God is one. God, in a sense, has one kun, which is addressed to all of creation together. God is drawing all of creation with that kun. I don't think we should split God's kun up, split God's creative word up, but sense it as a single word addressed to us. So this is leaving aside the text, as you rightly say, and getting to a level where we are experiencing the word in our various ways.
We have time for one more question, and it's Professor Felix Corner.
Felix from the Gregorian. Then it's a great joy to hear you speak about body language and to see you again speaking body language. It was so great to see you move both of your hands, and people who know you well are really touched by seeing you like that. So great joy to not only hear you but also see you speaking body language. I think you perhaps lived too long with in contact with the Gregorian, that controversial theology has been practiced for a long time. Think of Bellarmine and people, and now you say, okay, let's no longer do controversial theology, let's find convergencies. That is fine, but I think it's not really from parlor to kitchen. Theology is not about saving monotheism and discussing these words. It comes from the chapel. It is an experience. It is the Easter joy that wants to express itself in different contexts. And so I would say, with the big word you had there is word. Is it not much more that rather than controversy, rather than convergency, it's contemplation, the experience that needs to be touched? And so rather than listing lots of words where we can agree upon, say, okay, let's be interested and respect that both of us are starting from a different experience, and that is interesting to hear and explicate.
Thanks, Felix. I think I would agree with you. What I was laying out again, what I see as the basic thing, that to me is not the result so much of controversy or even of seeking for convergence, but it's saying that there's a fundamental experience behind all of that. see discussion of the word simply as development-like controversy. I see it as I was saying before, in answer to that question, the experience of the word being just calling me to be. I'm not sure whether that answers your question, but I think that's what you said is true. I think more about the chapel than the kitchen. Maybe that's the next step. But I think before one of the things that sends us into the kitchen, of course, is the sense that we have the experience. I laid out those three aspects of the Christian experience, which are so powerful for us: the belief in God, the Creator, transcendent, the experience of Jesus, the Word among us, the experience of the Spirit, and somehow to make sense of that kind of language. I mean, it's something we've done, and something which has provoked, if you like, a reaction, has been even blasphemous, if not. Maybe it's just wrong-headed, but there's something blasphemous. So I think there is a job of work to be done there, trying to say, how did we get to this? How did we get from the experience of God in Christ and reconciling the world to Himself in that sense? So Paul's experience on the road to Damascus, which is at the basis of our understanding of sin and forgiveness and so on. All of those things, it starts very much with experience. I agree with you. I will take your words to heart and try and make that more explicit in the way I can.
Thank you. So no doubt this interesting conversation could go on for another hour, but I'm looking at my watch and we need to stop.
Another 30 seconds.
No more slides. Once again, I would like to thank the Australian Catholic University for having made possible this event, and I thank you, all of you, for your presence here today. And before leaving, please join me in thanking Professor Daniel Madigan.